also, we have to understand sex in the right context. What is the right context of sex? You have two choices, only two choices. Immorality, porneia, we know that word, don't we? It's all types of sex outside of marriage, whatever it is, porneia. You have the choice to have sex outside of marriage, and that is immoral, or sex inside of marriage, and that is moral, and it is edifying. It is a blessing. It is a privilege. Remember our original statement that we read together. It's a gift of God to be celebrated. So there's only two ways to have sex. Outside of marriage, immorality. Inside of marriage, sanctifying, edifying, and blessing, and wonderfully fulfilling. You say, well, that's way too narrow. I mean, we live in the 21st century. We are liberated today to have the idea that there's only sex with your wife or there's no sex. That won't work in this world. We're beyond that. Let me remind you of something. Christianity, evangelical Christians, throughout the history of Bible-believing folks, understood that sex is exclusive in marriage. Without marriage, no sex. All evangelical Christians have been taught that. Number two, all Catholic Christians have been taught the very same thing. Number three, all Orthodox Christians have been taught the same thing. Number four, Judaism, all Jews have been taught the same thing. Islam, Buddhists, Hindus. Did you know about the only thing that every religion in all the world, every major religion in all the world agrees on is that sex is to be limited and to be exclusive in marriage? So if you stand up and say, well, I'll tell you right now, this is a liberated society, you're going against all the religious wisdom of thousands and thousands of years. And when you do that, in about the only thing the major religions agree on, you'd better take a step back if you've got a lick of sense and say, whoa, wait a minute here. Wait a minute here. Now, in the context of Thessalonica, boy, this is radical stuff. They were all walking backwards. Men sleep around, it doesn't matter. Sexual promiscuity was the order of the day. In fact, in the Roman world, most Roman men had at least 4 different sexual relations. 4 different women, at least 4. Many more than that normally. First of all, they had a wife. And a wife was to bear children, and you would marry someone not because you loved them, but because they had money or family connections, and it would enhance your position in the culture. That's why you married. That's what you look for in a wife. Number one. Number two, you would have a courtesan. This would be somebody who'd be your intellectual equal, somebody you were attracted to, somebody that you enjoyed being with, and you'd be in it with her in sexual relations. Also, you had a concubine. This may be a servant, just for convenience around. Then you would have a prostitute or prostitution. This would be the sexual toy. So the Roman man would have at least 4 different relationships. Now, Paul comes along and says, oh, no. Everybody is walking backwards. I want you to walk forward in the light, and you have an exclusive relationship with your wife and with your wife alone. The Romans, they say, oh, boy, that is a joke. Do you think a man can live like that? They laughed at this kind of sexual exclusivity. Got a question for you. Who won the ethical battle there in the 1st and 2nd century? Did all the promiscuity continue in the Roman world? Absolutely not. The Christians won the battle. One reason the Roman Empire fell is because it became so decadent and so immoral. But the Christian ethic won. Why? To say it simply, it was impractical. Because they got jaded. And I'm sure disease set in. And all of a sudden, perversion set in. And all of a sudden, sex lost its meaning and any validity to them. And finally, there was no confidence. And then with this new morality, it was the female who was honored. And one man for one woman for life. And that woman began to fill the role of all these other women that they'd had. And they found that marriage, there was more spark and more chemistry and more reality and more joy and more celebration of this sacred gift. It was the Christian ethic that won the day.